What's going on, Vikings fan? Oh, we know what's going on. I'm not going to do another edition of Feliz Navidad, even though I deserve it and we deserve it. This, this is Skol for Days. Tonight is just Justin and Mike. I'm sorry. That was just so pathetic the way that game ended. I'm Justin in Rochester with Purple and Gold for Days. We are simulcast on the Purple Code. I have Mike Patriot, Mike Castellino. This is a Purple Code production, and let's bring it up to the new school icon. There we go. Being that it is a Purple Code production, let's get the sponsors right out the gate, and we get them our thanks to Renales Pizza and Pasta, Wood Lane Drive, I-494 in Valley Creek Road, Nautical Bowls, and that is on Hudson Place off of Woodbury Drive and I-94. We thank them for their support. Viking season abruptly comes to an end, 31-24, to the hands of the New York Football Giants, who utterly ran right through us. Utterly just we forced two whole punts and two kneel downs at the end of the quarter, the half in the fourth quarter. An absolutely abysmal performance defensively. Offense did the best job that it possibly could have. Yeah, a couple of drives got stalled out by some awful play calls. We'll talk about those. And anybody want to talk about the quarterback? Listen, let's just get off the gate right off the bat. Kirk Cousins is not the reason they lost. Kirk Cousins is not in the top 5 reasons to be talked about as to why they lost. Is it an unfortunate situation where, yeah, play call was kind of chintzy. You didn't give him a whole lot of options. Yeah, the offensive line didn't give him as good of an opportunity. Yeah, at some point, sometimes you're not going to have everything perfect. But at the end of the day, yeah, you don't throw the ball short of the first down on fourth in your season. Now, that does not mean that Kirk Cousins should be the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 talking point. Sure, he didn't break the narrative. He is the only reason we were in that game. He was slinging dimes all over the place. So let's not sit here and try to say that Kirk Cousins is the main talking point or that he's the reason they didn't win. Okay, it would have been nice. It would have been awesome. But we've been saying it for weeks. The only way the Vikings were going to win any games in the playoffs is if Kirk Cousins was Superman. And he was Superman for 98% of that game, and he wasn't on one play. So I'm not going to let him off the hook. I'm not going to absolve him because that was a terrible decision. Even though it was really, he had 1.5 choices, and they were both bad. Yeah, you throw the ball up and you hope for a pass interference. That's the only other thing that could have been better. And when you're relying on that, that means you're up a creek without the paddle, as they say. But we're not going to come on these airways. We're going to have a lot of grievances, and in fact, we might even open up it up to some people to join us tonight. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But we're not going to have any despair. We can have a conversation as to what should we do with this team. Is it time to blow it up? Is it time to maybe, trade off Cousins for some assets? I'm not saying that that's not on the table, but what I am going to say is no. We're not going to come on here and say that Kirk Cousins was the reason they lost. That being said, Mike and Paige, first off, let me get some shout-outs in here. Bandino, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Improved officiating had nothing to do with that loss, Bandino. I'm not sure.
No, can I get this on my chest?
Hold on. We always hold on just a second. We always find ourselves in these tight situations, yes. We will not win with Kirk Cousins. Need a guy who can improvise. That's a different conversation as to what we do moving forward. But for right now, no, it was not.
Lamar Jackson has 1 playoff win, by the way.
No, so does Kirk, but I digress.
That's my point. That's my point.
Anyway,
people can think
thoughts,
the pretty quarterback is the end-all, be-all. It's not.
Your initial thoughts, Mike. Go ahead.
First off, to Bandino's comment, I'm so sick of us blaming refs when we lose. The refs had no bearing on that loss.
No.
In fact, I'd say they had actually a great reffing performance. They took away multiple plays. They took away a Giants interception on a quick replay. No, I'm not blaming the refs on this game at all. Yeah, can you say that Darisaw shouldn't be calling that penalty? Fine. It's on you if you're playing these tight games like this at home against a road opponent with a first-time playoff quarterback. You made it look like Dan Marino. Since he's a Giants quarterback, might as well say Super Bowl prime Eli Manning. It was embarrassing. And your point, Justin, Kirk Cousins did as much as he could, basically, aside from one throw. Yeah. And I'm so sorry. I am sick and tired of hearing he should have thrown that pass over 8 yards. Yeah, he should have. Okay, no duh. When the sky comes up most of the time, it's blue. Thanks. I get it. And yeah, to your point, Justin, yeah, he should have thrown it up like the Buffalo game. We all understand this. Anyone who's not the people who are saying the scream is the right decision, okay, those people are being silly. But aside from that, Kirk did the most he could on Sunday, and I'm not even. And again, I'm not a Kirk fanboy. I'm not. I'll bash him when he plays bad. But yesterday, he proved he can win in the postseason. He wasn't phased by the time of the start, which I knew he wouldn't be if he was going to show himself. And look, I've come to the conclusion, Justin. He's this generation's Tony Romo. He'll never get the credit. He'll retire, and people say, we had it pretty good, didn't we? And you'll see it today with the Dallas Cowboys, who are about to lose again with Dak Prescott. And everyone will say, well, maybe Tony Romo was better than we thought. And I'm sorry. Every Viking fan that just wants Kirk Cousins out just because, no. Okay, great. We rebuild it. When we have TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson, which seems a little bit more silly than it did a year ago.
Right.
At the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, a very good quarterback. Right. They're not easy to replace. Look, of course, if I could have Joe Burrow, I'd do it. Well, no, obviously, that's not going to happen. And I'm not saying you don't draft a quarterback late in the draft, see if you get lucky like the Niners did with Purdy. You draft Stetson Bennett from Georgia in the 5th or 6th round. Fine, take a flyer on a backup quarterback because we need one anyway. And we need to save money. We can't pay a backup quarterback $1.5 million. We need all the dollars and cents we can have. But I'm so sick and tired of it. I just came to the conclusion he's Tony Romo of this generation. He deserves better. He'll never get until he retires.
There you go. Well, let me start with this as we got on the ticker here. If you don't already follow all the channels, first off, hit if you don't already subscribe on the Facebook page, it is the Purple Code backup page because the original got hacked and it has been canned. If you're on YouTube, please follow on the Purple Code. Please also follow Purple and Gold for Days. That's mine as well as the rest of the family. That's Purple Pocket Podcast. That's GG Sports. That's Minnesota Sports Talk. Somebody called Jefferson and asked where he was. Well, he was there on the first drive, but you're right. No targets in the fourth quarter. And you know what? Some of that's on Cousins. Some of that's on O'Connell. Some of that's like, okay, you're not doing any of the things that you did in the first drive to get him schemed open. And part of that, one of the flaws I will give Cousins. You know what? He realized, hey, they're giving me TJ Hawkinson all day, every day. They're taking away JJ. They're taking away KJ. Thielen did a lot early, but not much later. He didn't do much in the second half.
Shocker. What a shock.
Well, no, I will say this, though. Thielen came out hot. Again,
Justin, but that's all it is. It's moments now. Yes, you will not get it in the game. You will not.
We will touch on that. But what I'm saying is that for where I'm going with this, the one thing about Kirk is that he did pretty much lock in on TJ, and TJ burned him a lot. There was a heck of a 4th down conversion on the sidelines, and TJ took the hit and still hung onto the ball. But listen, the biggest part of this game, yesterday's loss, is completely on the defense. And what's unfortunate is that the offense has taken most of the heat. Why?
It's crazy.
What did I say? I said that this offense is going to have to overperform, and it's not fair to expect perfection out of them, but it was going to take near perfection for this team to make any noise in the playoffs. And what's funny about it is we didn't get perfection from this offense, and we lost to the Giants. Can you imagine how much perfection it would have taken for this offense to go on the road to San Francisco? They literally would have needed to score touchdowns on every single drive. So, yes, we can talk about Cousins and, what his ceiling might be and the reasons why. But yesterday, that guy took hits. He didn't get sacked once. He managed to get rid of the ball a couple of times when he was about to get sacked. Unfortunately, one of them was 4th and 9, and we got 3 yards out of it. But having said all that, let's move off the Kirk talk for a while. We'll get back to it because, again, there is a legitimate discussion to be had. But like I said, comment, hit the share button. If you're on the Facebook page, share that out. If you're on the YouTube pages, hit the like buttons on both the Purple Code and Purple and Gold for Days. Let's get this chat hopping. We had 21 in here at one point, which I think is an all-time record for our show. Guess that's what happens the day after the season ends. But jokes aside, let's get a couple more comments in here. I saw 1 or 2 more that I haven't put up. Oh, yeah. Vikings if you don't follow Vikings Uncensored on Facebook, hit up Vikings Uncensored. Rhino has joined Dave and I a couple of times in the last week. He was on with Dave and I last night for about a 2-hour post-game show, so check that out on Purple and Gold for Days. Rhino, thanks again. We got a good performance from the offense, but the defense couldn't stop water from running uphill yesterday. Now, couldn't stop a nosebleed, couldn't stop anyone. What does Rap got going on here? So he was 11 all these great comebacks in the minute. It's do or die. Yeah, Rep, we haven't had a chance to talk. But Rep, let me say this. I agree that, but the second to last drive, we went 3 and out. We called 2 screen passes, 1 a tight end screen.
Yep.
That's not on Cousins, bro.
Nope.
It's not.
Nope.
That is on Kevin O'Connell. O'Connell deserves a lot of nails for this defeat here too. But go ahead.
Also, what is the play call early in the game at 42? I like O'Connell, and I think he will grow. What are you doing throwing a pass to Kirk Cousins on 3rd and 1? Come on. Not even with blockers. Didn't even try. So bad.
Yeah, I like it. Good point, Sam. Washington has been a clown show since Kirk has left.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell people. Thank you. Is it Sam? Yes. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Yes. So let's get to Kevin O'Connell here. First off, Kevin O'Connell's the one who hired Ed Donatel. So for all of the
agreed
we want to throw on Ed Donatel, who hired the guy? Kevin O'Connell hired him.
Yep.
You can't hire somebody and put him in a position of authority, and when that division of your team sucks, whether it's his scheme, whether it's old and decrepit players or some combination thereof, and you don't do anything about it, you got to take some of that heat too. There's got to be culpability to Kevin O'Connell. And listen,
agreed.
We love Kevin O'Connell. He's a very good head coach. He took this team from mediocre to slightly above to pretty good, won a lot of close games, instilled a better culture, a winning culture. All of those things can be true at the same time of saying, hey, you hired Ed Donatel. There were obvious signs in about week 5 that this defense was not sustainable. And what did we say? The John Madden line that winning is a great deodorant. And we kept pointing out, and everybody in the media kept pointing out, you cannot expect to keep going this way defensively and living and dying with your hair on fire and expecting eventually that at some point your scalp's not going to get burned the heck off. So we can talk about Ed Donatel, and we're going to talk about the defense a lot tonight. But it starts with Kevin O'Connell. That's number 1. Number 2, as you said, second drive of the game. You went right down the field, hot knife through butter on that first drive. Kirk was slinging it all over the place. Justin Jefferson was involved early and often. The running game with Dalvin Cook was on point. And what do you do on 3rd and 1? Again, I don't like this. I understand this expedited replay process in order to keep the game going. But what I don't like about it is, but you have a tendency, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about I'm not saying about refereeing, I'm saying about the system of refereeing is, it looked like Alexander Madison might have been down short of that first down, even though it was a rule of first down. Well, it's still incumbent upon the other coach to challenge the play. Now, if the other coach challenges it and you use the expedited process to say, hey, you don't need to run over under the booth. We've already looked at it and he's right. The challenge is successful. I don't have a problem with that. But then you're just picking and choosing. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to expedite challenge this, and we're not going to make this coach use a challenge, but we're not going to expedite challenge that. Where was this expedited challenge in the Buffalo game, by the way? But
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So the only thing that I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say it was on the refs per se. What I'm going to say is this system. I understand the system, and I like the idea of keeping the game flow going, but there is a lot of subjectivity and there's a lot of gray area in there, which is like, well, wait a second. When are we going to force a coach to use a challenge and when are we not? But having said all that, if that was the play call for 1st and 10, because, okay, Madison, we thought got the first down. Okay, I still don't like the play, but whatever. But when you come out and it's now 3rd and 1, you have to scrap that play. You have to say, all right, we're going to hand it off here or we're going to run a quick pass here. But you don't run your dipsy doodle oop-de-oop offense on 3rd and 1, where you pass to Jefferson and pass it back to Kirk Cousins, hoping that they forget about Jefferson to throw it back to Jefferson again on 3rd and 1. That is the one thing about Kevin O'Connell that's been driving me nuts, and it's been driving me nuts for weeks. I said in the Lions game, you've outsmarted yourself. And since then, I've been saying, Kevin O'Connell, stop trying to outsmart everybody, because the only person you are outsmarting is yourself. That 3rd down and 1 play call was ridiculous. The second to last drive we talked about, screen pass here to Cook, not so good. So we're going to come right back with it with a screen to TJ Hawkinson. That's not Kirk Cousins' fault. That's not anything but Kevin O'Connell. I'm sorry.
Like I said, it was one throw. That's it. That's really everyone. And it was funny. Everyone is making that inch a mile. I tell you, Justin, they are stretching that thing as far as they can, and it's pathetic. Anyway,
I got a whole bunch of comments I'm getting behind now.
Can I have one last thing quickly about Kirk?
Go.
Just really fast. The reason why I want to give Kirk another chance, he played a playoff winning football game. Go look what Trevor Lawrence did and the Jags won. Go watch what Josh Allen did and the Bills won. And I'm not saying he's better than all those quarterbacks. I'm not. But there was quarterback play. Look at what Burrow did. He wasn't fantastic. He wasn't elite. And the thing is, like, this is the first time, Justin, and I'm going to say it with the future, past tense, when he plays his sixth season, because it is happening. I don't care. Everyone can cry themselves a river for all I care. It could be as much tears as Niagara Falls. He will be back. This will be his first year with the same offensive play caller in 6 years. That is a joke.
I'm gonna say this because Rap's got some points in here. I'm gonna brief through them. No, okay. I'm gonna say this two ways. Actually, here's the summation of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is not the problem, but he's also not necessarily the solution either. So I agree in part of what you're saying, Rap, is that yes, for 5 years the Vikings have gone to the playoffs twice. They've had one playoff win. Is that all on Kirk Cousins? No, it's not. Is he absolved from being part of that? No, he's not absolved either. And we can get into the discussion about how replaceable he is. And you know what? If the Vikings made the choice to say, you know what? We've been running it back for the last 7 years, and we're finally going to say, hey, we're going to ship off some of these old players. We're going to trade Kirk Cousins to try to get some draft picks. I wouldn't be upset by that. In fact, that is probably the direction that I would go. But I'm not going to blame him for yesterday. And I'm not going to stump for him and say that, oh, no, we can still win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying we can't.
I'm not going to go that far, but I think we can win with the guy. I
think we can win a lot in the regular season, but
again, Justin, it's the same thing with Stafford. You don't know until you know. And the problem is, this is the thing that upsets me. I'm not, and it's not at you at all. It's this theory that it'll be okay. And I get the point of rebuilding, right? I get it. This is the first time in his career he had a good O-line. They went in Minnesota. They went 13-4. Give him a defense that could be in the top 20s. That's all I ask.
But here's what I will
pathetic.
Say. Here's what I'll say to that. Here's what I will say. Okay. First off, let me get this so that I can move this on here. I'm gonna get Vikings Uncensored YouTube page up here too, because you know what, we're gonna make him extended family because he's been on with us the last couple of times this week here. So we're gonna throw some love his way as well. But having said all that, listen, I forget who had the tweet yesterday, but in order to win a Super Bowl, which is what our goal is not to be competitive every year. Our goal is to not just get into the playoffs and hope stuff happens. Our goal is to win a Super Bowl. You either need to have a Hall of Fame quarterback, regardless of how much money that quarterback is making. B, you need to have a quarterback who is on a rookie scale contract that is overperforming that contract, like a Joe Burrow, like a Justin Herbert, and we can get to him later. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, something like that. The problem is that when you get a quarterback that is in the middle, Kirk Cousins as an example, and I'm not saying he's better than Kirk. I'm not saying that, so don't go on. I'm just using his example.
No.
Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, Matt Ryan before he was old and decrepit, Jared Goff to a certain extent, Matthew Stafford you mentioned a few moments ago. Yeah. When you have a quarterback that is making market value, so 35, 40 million a year, whatever the case may be, your odds and your chances of winning a Super Bowl go down so dramatically. It's not impossible. Nobody's saying it's impossible. But what we're saying is that there is a glass ceiling on a team that is constructed that way, that has been broken through once or twice. Yes, Matt Stafford broke through that glass ceiling last year. But Kirk Cousins, divisional round of the playoffs, that's the furthest he's gone. Dak Prescott, divisional round of the playoffs. That's the furthest he's gone. Lamar Jackson.
Dak Prescott had a rookie deal. Like, he blew it. Like, if the roles are reversed, Kirk Cousins, this is the thing that bothers me. I'm not saying this is not what you're doing, but Dak Prescott had his rookie deal and he blew it, and he still has had more chance. Kirk Cousins never had his rookie deal. That's what's upsetting. And I truly believe this in my heart of hearts. If he was a Viking draft pick, no one would have that. He would get no immediate attention compared to what he gets. But because he was a free agent, he gets so much hate. And it's crazy. Look what Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson got traded for. Neither of them got to the postseason. Neither of them came close to going to the postseason. Both of them had terrible statistical seasons when Watson played. Of course, he didn't play all 16 games. I'm not going to get into that kettle of fish.
Well, there's that.
But like, what would have we said then? You know what I'm saying? Just imagine we had traded for one of them. Oh, my God, we'd be in even a worse spot. It's not easy to replace Kirk, and I get a rookie quarterback would be nice. And I like Stenson Bennett of Georgia. I would like to give the kid a chance. Bring him in and see if he becomes something long term. But I'm sorry, we don't have the draft capital to go for a quarterback. We don't, not high. And we cannot trade Kirk realistically to get anything back that's without eating a lot of dead money. It's a lose-lose. It's not good.
All I'm saying, to Rab's point, and where I will agree with him, is that at some point, you know what you have with him. And what you have is everything around him has got to be pitch perfect. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. And I don't necessarily.
But is 13-4 pitch perfect though? Like with the considering, what he did was pretty incredible.
Yes.
When compared to what he had to work with, you know what I mean?
But where did that get us?
No, but the defense was god awful. We knew this was coming, right? We knew that. Like that's why I'm saying I almost feel for Kirk. Like I said, like Romo. Romo had his one run, right? We got to the division. I got screwed. I think Kirk can have a run where if things go right, he can win it. I don't think that's insane. Now, do I think he's going to? No.
But what I'm saying
I think he deserves the chance to play with his OC for 2 straight years.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that at this point, it would be almost impossible for the Vikings to build a roster with him now that he is on this contract that he's at. And I'm not saying he's overpaid, so I don't want people to say.
But I think there's a lot of cuts coming too, Justin. I think there's a lot of
those cuts are going to lead to you giving a bucket load of money to JJ. All that money you're saving is going to go to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but JJ's on a rookie deal for 2 more years. The extension doesn't kick in until it kicks in.
Let's move off Kirk Cousins.
Anyway, I'll stop
talking about him. So all I'm saying is that at some point, it is what it is. So
in a few more years, absolutely. Once that JJ extension hits, that's the moment for me. That's it. If we don't go anywhere by that point, that's fair. But I think he deserves at least this upcoming season just to have KJ on a rookie deal, TJ still on his rookie deal. See what happens.
All I'm saying is that for me at this point, I've seen enough to where I don't think we're in a position to be able to do that anymore. But let's move on. Yesterday, this defense was pathetic. In fact, calling it pathetic is an insult to things that are pathetic in this world because they couldn't get a stop to save their lives. Yes, they got one at the end.
And it was luck too.
And it was pretty much luck because the guy dropped a pass when he was wide open. He'd still be running 24 hours later. Having said all that, we've talked about Ed Donatel. Ed Donatel needs to go. I'm just going to say it like this. All the old players pretty much need to go. I'm sorry. Eric Kendricks, we love you. You're a Ring of Honor player, but you got to go. Patrick Peterson, if you want to come back on a very, very team-friendly
similar to last year. He won't take year. Yeah.
Harrison Smith, I'm sorry.
I don't know what happens there. I'd say a restructure. I think it's how that ends.
That's the one I would consider a restructure on.
Yeah,
but for me,
agree.
If they got rid of him, I'm not gonna.
I think they will restructure him, but we'll see.
Who else is back there? Jordan Hicks. Goodbye. See you later. Zadarius Smith. That's one that is going to be a talking point. You said get rid of him, so why don't you give me your thoughts and then I'll give you mine. Go ahead.
All right. I'll just say it with the facts because the facts are the facts. Numbers never lie, Justin. From weeks 1 to 10, we only played 9 games because of buy-in. He had 55 pressures. 55 pressures. From weeks 11 to the postseason game, 8 games, he had 24 pressures. Tell me age caught up to you without telling me age caught up to you.
Right.
And this is the thing. This deal was literally a 1-year deal, and it's basically all toilet paper. You go, cut him, and drop the D-end / outside linebacker in the first round, something we have not done my entire life, basically. So, it's time for it. Again, I'm going from the perspective to give you your chance, the best chance with Kirk. They need to go defense-oriented and hard and aggressively at it.
As far as here's the thing about Zadarius Smith. When he got the knee contusion in Buffalo, he's been limping along for the entire second half of the season. He took the week off last week against the Bears. He was invisible yesterday. And we love going with the joke that the Packers paid more against their salary cap this year for Zadarius Smith than we do, and that's all well and good. But you saw why the Packers said, you know what, we like you, but you're only good for the first half of the season. If they brought him back on a very, very team-friendly deal again, sure, I would take him. But if they say goodbye to him, I'm not losing any sleep over it because, again, he's a good first half of the year guy, and that's it. And when you have if you had roster depth where you could rotate him in and out, for example.
Like the Niners. And
like
the Bills.
Niners, sure.
Yep.
Then absolutely I don't mind having Zadarius Smith. But if Zadarius Smith is expected to be your number 1 or number 2 pass rusher with Danielle Hunter, his tank is empty by the middle of the season, and he
can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy,
what it is.
And he was meaningless yesterday. Danielle Hunter, I keep him. Harrison Phillips and Dalvin Tomlinson, I try to keep those guys.
You got to keep Tomlinson. That's the key. When Harrison Phillips already on their contract, but I'm with you. They got because again, thanks to Rick Spielman again, Quessy having to get his mop out, be the custodian, the janitor. $7.5 million of void money. That cannot happen on the books again. We cannot have that happen.
Let's see. We already talked about Hicks and Kendricks. Who else we got here?
Thielen?
Oh, you do. Oh, Thielen. Yes. I'm sorry.
Bye. Sorry. And I have a picture. Okay. The moments and the memories are not gone. You need to move on when players are old. It's that simple. Put him in the Ring of Honor in 7 years, and he deserves it.
Yes.
You don't need to let him finish his career at 37 or 38 to do it. You don't. Not that hard. Jared Allen didn't finish his career in Minnesota, and he was more impactful. I'm sorry. That might break a lot of people's hearts. That's reality.
Putting aside the Instagram post that Adam's wife Caitlin put up there yesterday, where she said, "Hey, thanks for the memories. Hopefully we're back, but it's a business. We understand."
Yeah,
that to me is a clear-cut sign that they see the writing on the wall.
Agreed.
He's the Minnesota guy, hometown hero, and all that good stuff. What's up, Super Will? Thanks for joining. Hey, congratulations to Super Will. I hope you don't mind me saying that you came on and you said it on the channel last night. Super Will just got engaged last night, so
congratulations.
Him. What's up, Warlord? Thanks for joining us. Very much appreciate y'all. Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Hit the share buttons. If you don't already subscribe to Purple Code on YouTube, please do so, as well as my channel, Rap's channel, Purple Pocket Podcast, GG Sports, and Minnesota Sports Talk. That is the Purple Code family. Kind of doing it like the East Coast.
One thing really quickly, too. CJ Ham needs to be released, too. We don't use a fullback.
I was going to say, you either need to release him or you need to start using him as your short yardage.
And they won't. They won't.
They probably will not do either one of them. So, again, I'm not trying to say, hey, I don't want any of our guys back. Because I love these guys, but we're not cheering for individuals. We're cheering for the team. So, at the end of it, for me, that is just what it is. I haven't heard exactly that he's gone, but I'm starting to hear the grumblings that they don't even think that there might be any. But I agree with what Rhino's saying here. You cannot pay Adam Thielen $19 million next year.
No,
there's absolutely no chance. Hey, you're welcome, boss. And hey, thanks again for coming on with me and Dave last night and making your announcement live on our air last night during our 2-hour segment.
At least he had something really positive in his life. Hey, that's how you get by.
Yes,
you got to get by somehow.
There you go. Having said all that, I'm sorry. This team is in this position. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time.
Sure.
In 2017, when Case Keenum led this team to the NFC Championship game, they made the choice to say, this quarterback was a one-hit wonder. We're going to throw our chips all in to get a quarterback that we think is better. I absolutely signed off on the deal at the time. I said after the 2019 season, when they lost to San Francisco in the division round of the playoff after squeaking out a win against New Orleans, and keep in mind, it was squeaking out a victory. It's not like they.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was.
But I said, this run is over. It's time to, reshuffle the deck. Part of what they sold us on Kirk Cousins is that it was a lot of money, but it was only a 3-year deal. So if it didn't work, you weren't locked into a guy for 6-7 years. I said, okay, fine. I'll take that. And what happened? 2 years went by, and you knew that the ceiling for that team was the divisional round of the playoffs. And instead, they kept running it back. 2020. Granted, it was COVID, but everybody had to deal with COVID.
No, that was irrelevant. Yeah.
2021, they went 7-9. Well, 7-8.
8-9, whatever.
8-9, whatever. Same thing.
Theory,
Bottom line is you had 9 losses. Okay. And then this year, yes, it was a great season. It was a lot of fun, and we have those memories. And I'm not going to say that I wish that this season hadn't happened. I wish it hadn't ended yesterday. I wish we were still talking about it. But this team has signed bad contracts to older players. They should have never re-signed Anthony Barr after 2019.
But I can't blame Quessy for that. You know what I mean?
No,
like, he's going to clean it now. That's why I got to say it's a little different.
The track record of this team under this ownership group is we're not going to intentionally take a step back. We're going to continuously try to keep our window open. We're going to overpay guys. We're going to sign contracts with voidable years and borrow from future years because we can keep telling ourselves that the salary cap's going to keep going up and up. Okay, great. So you're borrowing money from future years because you know that the money's going to be there. Guess what? When the salary cap goes up $30 million a year, it goes up $30 million a year for all teams.
Yes.
So if you've already spent 20 of that 30 million when it goes up, the other team's got a bump of 30 million and you get a bump of 10. So all I'm going to say is, yes, I know it was Zimmer and Spielman and now it's Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, but the common denominator is the Wilfs, okay? Mm-hmm. They say we always want to be competitive. We never want to take a year off or a year or two to take a step back and reload. That's why you're in salary cap heck right now, because you have constantly overpaid for overpriced players, for older players. You've missed on a lot of drafts, okay? Everybody wants
that was a big part of it too. I was going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth.
I know a lot of everybody want to talk about Kwesi's first draft, and that's all well and good, and we can reevaluate that in a year or two. But it's the last 3 years, if not 4, of Rick Spielman's mediocre to bad drafting.
0 defensive players that with a massive impact. 0.
So what I am saying is that where this Vikings team is going into next season, if you want to just run it back again, guess what's going to happen? You're going to compete for the division at best. You maybe get to the divisional round of the playoffs at best, even if Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson continue to be lights out, because this team has stretched itself too thin. It doesn't have any roster depth. It doesn't have any young players, and it's got a lot of bloated contracts and no salary cap room. So all I'm going to say is this is what it is. You're going to have to get rid of players. Ziggy and Mark, you're going to have to let go of Harrison Smith and Adam Thielen and Eric Kendricks. I know those guys have been with your organization for years upon years. They got great stories. But I'm sorry, it's time to move on into a different direction. No more sacred cows. All right, Mike, go ahead.
No. So if you're implying no. If you're implying that the Wilfs will keep Thielen and Kendricks, they failed themselves. No. If they do not allow Kwesi, the numbers guy, to do what needs to be done, and it's actually possible. I've looked at the books myself. I'm not a cap guy like you are. You're a little bit better at it than I am. But I know enough to be able to do simple math here. They can make it happen and keep that window wide open. But to your point, if the Wolves are arrogant enough to keep Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and Eric Kendricks, then they don't know how to run a sports franchise. This is their moment to say, we want to win. And they need a youth movement badly, especially on the defense end of the ball. There was plays yesterday, Justin, where Eric Kendricks would literally pointed out, knew where to go, and he can't make the tackle.
Right.
His brain, Phil Mackey put it perfectly. His brain knows what to do. His body can't do it. It is that who?
He reminds me of the last 2 years of Brian Urlacher. And I'm not saying that Eric Kendricks is a Hall of Famer.
I wish we had Brian Urlacher.
But I remember when Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs were running that Chicago defense in the last year or two of Urlacher would know where to go, and he'd be pointing, Lance, he's going that way. You can catch him even though I'm closer to him. And that's exactly what Eric Kendricks was yesterday. He still knows, he can still diagnose.
Yeah, he's smart, yes.
But he
make him a linebackers coach.
I mean, you're going to run a corner blitz with Chandon Sullivan, and Saquon Barkley didn't even bother looking at Chandon Sullivan. He just knew, I'm just going to run to the sideline because Eric Kendricks is 5 yards away from me, and I'm going to catch this ball, and it ain't going to be for a 4 or 5 yard gain. It's going to be for a 12-yard gain. So, very good point that Rhino put in here. Or like Greenway at the end of his career. Yes, Chad Green has another great example.
I'm saying that you got to cut the umbilical cord now. No. This is it. I will sit here and go on a rant for 50 minutes if they keep Adam Thielen, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, CJM. No, if they don't do it now with Kwesi, who actually has an opportunity, I'm not being funny. Go look at the books, people, to create a ton of cap space and keep this team relevant and young.
Yes.
With one more draft, Kwesi set the table perfectly. He did exactly what he needed to do. And he knew. He called it a competitive rebuild. Why? Because he knew I draft 1 year ahead of time. I build all the core and the pieces with 1 other year of foundation. If they screw him over and don't allow him to do that, then shame on you, Wolves. And we'll never be a winning Super Bowl franchise like that.
No,
never.
What's up in the zone? Thanks for joining us. If y'all there's another channel to go subscribe to, In the Zone Podcast. I watched your video yesterday. You did a great job, my friend. So thanks again for coming, and hit that like button and share buttons and all that good stuff, and subscribe to all the pages, Purple and Gold for Days, The Purple Code, Purple Pocket Podcast, Minnesota Sports Talk, GG Sports, and our new extended family member, Vikings Uncensored. Having said all of that, yeah, the Wilfs, and this is what I said and I put it in a short on my channel as well. Part of the, and you and I have said this basically for a year. We love the job that the ownership group, that the Wilfs have done as far as revitalizing this franchise, getting a new stadium, putting those beautiful facilities at TCO, and making it a great experience. But guess what? If you decide to say, you know what, we're going to need to take a year and clear the decks of these bad contracts of these older players and get some fresh blood in here, their biggest fear is that if we have a season or two of 3 or 4 wins, that they're going to lose this fan base and lose money. This fan base is the most tortured fan base in all of sports. We are the most loyal fan base in all of sports. We're not going anywhere. You don't need to be afraid of losing out on a couple of bucks because if the team is bad, we're still going to show up. Okay, so it's okay to take a step back if you have to. And I'm not suggesting that I'm looking forward to 2 years of bad football, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, and it's a short-term pain that I'm willing to take for a long-term gain on the possibility. So for me, all I'm going to say, I mean, if I had the ear of Mark and Ziggy Wilf, I would say, hey, you don't need to constantly throw good money after bad. So yes, let's get some new players in here. Let's get rid of some old contracts. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rhino. This fan games, we're going to be here regardless. There you go. Yeah. Good looking. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate you too. Both Smith and Hunter Adams and everybody got Adams. Which Adams is he talking about? Oh, he means Adam Thielen, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All right. I gave the line to him yesterday, but that's your line, Mike. No more sacred cows. That is correct. I'm not going to say that they're terrible. I'm just going to say that their time has come and gone. It's as simple as that. But
and again, if you build the linebacking corp, which you have an opportunity to do,
right? You
get a young running back. They don't even actually need to take a step back. That's the thing. If they can't see that these old players need to go to give their window any shot to work with Kirk, then they failed as owners. And by the way, since it hasn't been said, this season was unfortunately a failure. Obviously, it was what it was. Anyway, and we were frauds thanks to the defense. The media was right.
Well, I will say that, okay. Was it an abject failure? No. That's where I will draw my line to say it wasn't an abject failure. We'll say it like this.
No, there's building blocks from this season that they can absolutely take, yes.
So when they decided to hire Kwesi, make no mistake about it. What's the guy's name for the Bears that we interviewed with the Bears?
Matt Eberflus. Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles.
Here's what happened. Was I there? No, but I can virtually guarantee this. Poles came in and he interviewed, and he said, I want to do what he ended up doing in Chicago, which is I'm trying to tear it down to build it back up. And that's why he didn't get the job. The Wilfs said, no, we don't want that. So when they interviewed Kwesi, they said, this is what we want. Kwesi said, okay, sure. I will do what you want me to do. I'm trying to get a job here. So yes, I will do it your way. And after one season, we'll reevaluate it. Hopefully the Wilfs will have empowered Kwesi to be able to say to them, this is not going to win you a Super Bowl. And this is not a sustainable model. We need to change the model. Otherwise, we're just going to be spinning our wheels. So we'll see what happens. But what Chicago did, as garbage of a season as it was for them, guess what? The Vikings are going to get there. They're going to have a season like what the Chicago Bears did. And the question is only this. Is it going to be next year or is it going to be the year after that? Because it's coming up, ladies and gentlemen. As much as we hate saying it, we're still going to do podcasts. We're still going to do content, and we're going to still be passionate fans. But it's a necessary evil at times. The Wilfs have got to get it through their head that at some point you have to hit the reset button. That doesn't mean you have to be bad for 5 years like Detroit has been or Jacksonville has been or the Jets have been. But at some point, you can't just keep throwing good money after bad, as I said a moment ago. So,
like I said,
what's up, GG? Go ahead.
This has a chance to be different because before it was restructure central. You said it with me. There's only one player that's realistically getting restructured, and his name's Harrison Smith.
Possibly.
If they do this the right way, and I need to emphasize that, the right way, it can work. with Kirk, in my opinion. But if you keep old players that are in their 30s, you're asking for it to be a disaster. You need to have the youth movement. You drafted a Caleb Evans, you drafted Lewis Sean, you drafted Andrew Booth, you drafted Brian Asamoah. You can reflip this defense. It only takes 2 years to reflip a defense. Look at the Jets. They had nothing when Robert Saleh got there. They're 1 year into the building of this defense. You get a proper DC. You do it the right way. You can get it right. But I will emphasize this. If they keep some of these players because of leadership, which is a nice trade, but there's a lot of guys with leadership that aren't any good.
Right.
Nathan Peterman might be one of them. He's still in the NFL somehow. So at the end of the day, if you get this right, it can work. I truly believe that, but they better cut Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, and CJ Ham. I don't want to hear it any other way.
I can't disagree with the thing you said. Other than I'm not convinced.
I know me and you are a little bit different on that. I can work with Cousins, but again, that's nothing new.
No, that is nothing new. It's been that way since we started together. Let me get some shout outs here to our sponsors here. Again, we got Renale's Pizza and Pasta there in Woodbury on Wood Lane Drive off of I-494 and Valley Creek Road, as well as our second sponsor, which is Nautical Bowls. Let me get their ticker up here. They're on Hudson Place off of I-94 and Woodbury Drive. Mention the purple code at either one of these two locations. They will give you a family discount. We're just we could go for another hour, but at the same time, let's wrap it up with some positivity here, and then let's get up out of here to watch this last matchup between the Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the way, one more time, as a matter of record, my partner Mike Castellino, about 5-6 weeks ago, when it was apparent that the Bucs were going to win that garbage division with an under 500 record, and that the Cowboys were locked into the 5 seed, he said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will defeat the Dallas Cowboys on Wild Card Weekend. So that game is almost upon us here, Mike. We'll talk a little bit more about it next week. But having said all that, now that we've gotten about 35, 40 minutes of negativity out of the way, let's talk about some positives. Despite how this season ended, it is a season that was worth having. So I will admit that when I said I thought it was a mistake to try to run it back one more time, that I thought the better choice would be to do what Chicago did. Maybe not to the fullest extent that Chicago did. I will say, you know what? Yes. Was it worth it? Now, again, our expectations going into the season when they make the choice to not tear it down was you got to get to the divisional round of the playoffs. Otherwise, it wasn't anything that was progressing towards winning a Super Bowl. And they didn't do that. Now, I'm not going to say it was an abject failure, because to say a 13-win season with as many close victories as that they had, going into Buffalo and stealing that game, having the greatest comeback in NFL history on your resume.
61-yard field goal.
Team record field goal, walk-off winner. To call that season an abject failure is – no, I can't go that far. But I'm not going to call it a success.
No, it's not.
And if you think my expectations are too high, then okay, I'm sorry that I have high expectations. I'm sorry that I'm 43 years old and that I've never seen the Vikings go to a Super Bowl, much less win one, because we haven't won one in our history anyway. And I'm sorry that I'm not content with just winning a division and being happy to get into the playoffs. So I'm going to take back a little bit of my stance. I'm not going to call it an abject failure, but I'm not going to say it was a failure, abject failure. I'm going to say that there were fun moments this season, and it was worth having. And I was wrong to say that they should have torn it down. But I'm just going to call it for what it is. It was a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity to probably get killed next week in San Francisco because they're just a juggernaut. They've got a Mr. Irrelevant quarterback that is going to lead them to the NFC Championship game because he's behind, if not more, because he's behind a great offensive line. And he's got a great defense behind him. But I do think that the best way to describe it would be not necessarily a failure, but probably a disappointment, because to me, he should have still be, even with everything we've said here tonight, with as garbage as that defense was, they should have found a way to beat the Giants and at least go into the division.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'm way behind on my chats here, but give me your final thoughts to the season as a whole here while I get some of these chats up in here.
As I've said, Justin, I'm kind of happy the way it went because I think I saw what I needed to see from Kirk. Clutch drives, 8-game winning drives, NFL record. The playoffs did not hinder him. The moment was not too big, and everyone could talk about that 4th and 8 till they're blue in the face, because that's what the media does. Because if it was Josh Allen doing the same thing, which wouldn't have happened, by the way, I will admit that they would have thrown the sticks, but it is what it is. Yeah, he should have thrown it up. But he proved to me the moment wasn't too big, and he can have a Tony Romo-like run where if he's not screwed over by the most controversial play, and of course it was against the darn Packers,
Of course.
in NFL history, he can go all the way. And maybe, just maybe, they can do it. But that's the thing with football, man, sports. Everything has to go right at the right time. And I'm willing to see what this guy could do because I think he's the best quarterback we've had since Brett Favre, and it's not particularly close.
I'll still take Dante. We get to talk about that now that you're fine.
Well, I said Favre. Favre came out, Dante. So even
I
if you
know,
want to
but
use that,
I was bringing it back to that conversation we had back in July. Now that five years is done, and again, I'll say again, Dante's ceiling's higher, Dante's floor is lower.
The one thing I did say when we had the Dante talk is I wish he had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, because Adam Thielen is the farthest thing for Chris Carter. Was the farthest thing for Chris Carter.
Yeah, the first, I will say this, in 18, 19, and 20, Thielen was still, yes, this year's version of Thielen is
as I said, Jefferson is better than Diggs was when he was here. Diggs is, maybe you could say he's gone on and been far better in Buffalo. No, disagree. Right. He isn't what he was in Buffalo here. He wasn't. He had the miracle, but he was not that peak production. He wasn't.
So, having said all that, it was fun. Yeah. Wasn't this fun, Mike? It was fun, wasn't it?
I enjoyed the ride, and I'm going to be here for the offseason because that's what we are. We're not. Yeah, if we were such fake fans, we wouldn't be here talking right now. And to everyone that wants to cry me a river about Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, or not just Jefferson, no, that one I am willing to pay. But Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks.
Right.
I'm here, and I'll be here. You may not, because you're going to cry a river if Kirk Cousins stays again. So it is what it is.
Want to thank everybody for joining us all season long. We're still going to be doing stuff. I know we're going to be doing stuff through at least the playoffs, and then we might go to every other week until we get to the draft. We haven't even gone over that. We haven't even
free agency before that.
Free agency, draft, the whole shebang. So keep it tuned to Purple Code, Purple and Gold for days, as well as the Purple Code family. Again, that's Purple Pocket Podcast, Minnesota Sports Talk, GG Sports, and our newest extended family member, Vikings Uncensored, who I've got here. Tommy Kramer, my wheelhouse as a key. Yes, sir. Tommy Kramer, Wade Wilson in the 1987 run to the NFC Championship game, which is where all of the runs have ended in my lifetime. But jokes aside, thanks everybody for joining us. If you do not already subscribe to all the channels, go hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. I will be on my channel tomorrow night with Dave at 6:30. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to have a guest or if Dave and I are just going to do another season rundown. I know he's still working to try to get a couple of guests on tomorrow, but I know Dave and Rapp are going to go tomorrow night on the Purple Code. G&G will be on Thursday. I don't exactly know what they're going to do because they don't have a player to spotlight, but my understanding of the situation is that they're still going to be doing something, as well as I know they're doing something on Wednesday on their channel as well. So keep it tuned to the Purple Code family of Vikings content creators. For now, we're going to sign off and say, hey, Minnesota Vikings, at the end of the day, you went 13-4 in Kevin O'Connell's first season. What's up, Dave? I had a couple comments of yours up there, but thanks for joining us. Very much appreciated, and all the support you've shown out throughout the years, as well as everybody else that's been in here on the chat here tonight. So I want to thank you again. Keep it tuned to all of the channels. As I mentioned, we're going to go watch the Dallas Cowboys get trounced by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So says my compatriot Mike Castellino. Just wish we had one more week. But isn't that what we say every year? Just once more we could have run it. This is Purple and Gold for Days. I'm Justin in Rochester, simulcast on the Purple Code. This is Skol for Days, where our mantra is we just don't want to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl just once before we die. Was hoping we would have had a closer shot this year.
On to 23-24.
On to 23 and possibly 24. Thanks again to everybody for joining us. Skol Vikes. Let's win our next game, whenever that may be, sometime later on this year. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great night. Skol Vikes.